to Nuanez Now. Back after, I was thinking about this the other day. I think the most elongated stretch we've had of no Nuanez Now. So hopefully you had a great time finishing up the month of June and a great 4th of July weekend. I certainly had an awesome time. I didn't do much in terms of the breadth of travel. I did drive back and forth to Billings to the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. More on that in just a little while because that was very, very fun. A very cool event, as it always is. Very, very good to be there with my fellow board members to celebrate our 10th anniversary. And a ton of good stuff from the inductees. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. Then I came back last weekend, and I didn't do anything. I did a little in-house housekeeping. I don't mean like at my house. I did mow the lawn and do, the normal chores that you got to do. But I did do some stuff just in terms of some quality control for us here at ESPN. Just a little bit of computer work each morning to get the brain going. And then I golfed, and then I golfed some more. And I got all my golfing done before the week was over so that I could spend the whole weekend with my family. So we'll get into some of my vacation adventures. We're also going to talk plenty about the World Cup. Awesome event coming up tonight. I was feeling really, I was feeling really, what's the word? Like I wasn't fulfilling my duties because we were off the air last week and I certainly was enjoying being there. But for the round of 32 soccer game for the United States against Bosnia, we were like one or two steps away from being able to host a party at Karis Park. I shouldn't say we. I was just going to be the one that was getting the word out and promoting it. But just because of some logistics, it fell through. You don't need to know the details. But the United States won that game in the World Cup, and now they play Belgium this evening. And that match will be shown at Ogren Park at the Missoula Paddlehead Stadium, downtown Missoula. So if you'd like to go watch the action with your fellow Missoulians, it starts at 6 p.m. here in 2 hours. And it's a free event that's open to the public. And this is just a cool deal. So Paddleheads are out of town. Appreciate them for stepping up. Actually, one of my good buddies who usually is always listening to the show, but I'm certain that he's not right now because he's actually in Seattle about to go to this match for the United States, so that's pretty sweet. But he spearheaded this idea. He went to the first match in Seattle, the first United States match, back on June 19th, and he's got the fever, as I know a lot of people do. I think a lot of people are dying. I mean, the World Cup's always a giant global event, no question. But I think a lot of people right now have soccer fever. And I think there's multiple reasons for that. One, the matches have been unbelievable. I mean, a couple of the matches that I watched over the weekend were just completely riveting. Two, we got proximity bias. I mean, the games are being played, the matches are being played in North America. And three, the United States is as good as they've been in, 25 years? Arguably one of the best United States teams ever. If they win tonight, it's inarguable they're one of the great Team USAs ever. So that's what makes this such a big deal tonight. So if you want to go watch Belgium versus the United States World Cup match, 6 p.m., head on down to Ogren Park, the Missoula Paddleheads field. This is a free community event and a pretty cool deal the Paddleheads are putting this on. Well, so we'll talk some soccer. We're going to talk some in-state recruiting. The Cats swung back in a big way by landing commitments from Cannon Richmond, as well as from Three Forks, as well as Lane Humphrey from Billings West. But the Grizz swung back in another big way, landing a commitment from Walker Olson of Billings West. So I think probably now, if you were to name the top 9 prospects in the state of Montana, all of them are verbally committed. It's just now the first weekend or first week of July. So we'll take you back and forth on what's going on in the in-state recruiting battle. And then in hour number 2, we'll catch you up on everything that we missed. Everything from the United States and their charge towards World Cup greatness, to the fact that this World Cup does have as much buzz as I can ever remember, to the fact that Bobby Kennedy, the Grizz head football coach, got himself a 4-year contract extension while I was away. Also, to the fact that the NBA is into free agency, and it's been going nuts. Everything from Giannis Antetokounmpo getting traded to the Miami Heat, Jaylen Brown headed to the Philadelphia 76ers, LeBron James leaving the Lakers with a TBD destination, Ja Morant getting traded to Portland, Kawhi Leonard going back to Toronto. all sorts of the biggest names in the NBA are on the move. So we'll get to all that, and we also have the first of a series, I guess the second, but the first of this week, of a series of Grizz football interviews. 5 Grizz, Kale Ayat, Ian Finch, Tanner Huff, Peyton Wing, and Brooks Davis are putting on a youth football camp next Tuesday. That's 8 days from today. Let's see, is that right? Excuse me, next Friday, July 17th is when this is going down. Sorry, I've been on vacation for 2 weeks. I'm having a hard time doing the mental math. But those 5 guys are doing a youth football camp. We heard from Kale Ayat the last week of June. You can find that on the Nuanez Now podcast. We also will hear from Ian Finch, who's from Missoula, here today. And then we'll hear from the rest of those guys throughout the week. So stay tuned for that. We'll play those 5:30 each and every day here on Nuanez Now for the next 4 days. And fun content. It should be a fun event, July 17th at Washington Grizzly Stadium, with all the Grizz players hosting a camp. This is actually at the University of Montana Athletics bubble, But there'll be 5 Grizz coaches there, and everybody from kindergarten through 8th grade is welcome. We'll tell you how to sign up a little bit later on here in the show. But a cool event, and gave us some access to 5 of the most revered and beloved Grizz football players on the upcoming roster. So we'll go through all of that during the 5:30 slot each day this week. So there you go. It's what's coming up. 1029ESPN.com. If you'd like to stream the show, you can always use the ESPN MT app as well. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. And you can find us on Twitch. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. And all guests will join us via the ESPN MT phone line. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Here's my question of the day for you. Give me some feedback on this, because I'm genuinely interested. I cannot profess to be a soccer aficionado by any means. But I do know a little bit, right? Like, I know Christian Pulisic is one of the United States' best players, I know Balogun, the guy who got reinstated today, is also a very important member of Team USA. Right, I still know that Cristiano Ronaldo plays for Portugal, Lionel Messi plays for Argentina, Kylian Mbappe plays for France. Like, I know some of the best players in the world, but I definitely do not have the in-depth knowledge of international soccer like I do when it comes to the NFL or the NBA, or particularly, obviously, the Big Sky Conference and high school sports in Montana. But it's based on just the hype and sort of my entry-level estimation, it seems to me that there's more buzz around this World Cup than any I can remember. I know for a fact that part of that is that it's being played in North America. That helps the buzz. You have people from all over the world that are coming here. But this World Cup also, it just seems to have more buzz around it, because I think that there's more great contenders than there's ever been. My question, though, is that there's this notion that this United States team is the best it's been in a long time. They're in the round of 16. To put that into perspective, the United States has advanced to the round of 16 in 6 of the, I guess it would be, last 7 World Cups. I guess 6 of the last 8 World Cups. So they've been to this spot. They've only advanced past this spot one time. That was in 2002. And then they ran into the juggernaut that is Germany, and they lost in the round of 8. That's as far as they've been, going all the way back to the very first World Cup in 1930. In 1930, the United States made it all the way to the end, and they ended up taking 3rd. Then they sort of fell in the doldrums of soccer, and it took all the way until 2002 to get back into the Final 8, and they have not been back since. So just from a historical perspective, if the United States wins this evening, this is one of the most successful World Cup teams ever. But here's my question. Is this, if you're a soccer aficionado, give me the why as well. Is this truly one of the great Team USAs ever? Or has their path just been a little bit favorable? Team USA got to be in pool play with Australia, Turkey, and Paraguay. They lost to Turkey. but Turkey actually didn't even make it to the round of 32. They beat Paraguay. Paraguay did make it to the round of 32, but lost to France. And then the United States drew Bosnia in the round of 32, which was, I think probably a favorable draw. Again, I cannot proclaim to know a ton about Bosnian soccer, but it seems to me that the United States should probably be favored in that game. So is this one of the greatest versions of Team USA, and can that be affirmed tonight with a win over Belgium? Or has the United States had a little bit of good fortune by avoiding the Frances and the Portugals and the Spains and the Norways and the Brazils and the Mexicos and the Englands and the Argentina and Colombia and all these countries that have such great soccer prestige? Let us know. 406-888-1029. Just how good is this Team USA, and why are they good? Let us know. 406-888-1029. Again, if you want to go watch this game with all your fellow Missoulians, this match down at Ogren Park, they're hosting a free community event starting at 6 p.m. with the United States playing against Belgium. So I took a couple days off to go to Billings for the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll have Brock Coyle's induction speech coming up here in about 25 minutes. And then when I got back from Billings, all I did was golf. So I proclaimed that I was going to try to play 36 holes a day. From a physical, mental, and just life schedule standpoint, that did not happen. Monday, I played Friday when I was in Billings in a scramble with Brock Coyle, and we played well, and we got second in the tournament, so that was fun. Saturday in Billings, full-on craziest squall hailstorm I've ever seen. I'm not exaggerating. Flash flood warnings. The streets in Billings were washing out. Like, I was just on my way to get some lunch. I was going to go to the gym and then get some lunch. It was such chaos. I ended up just going to the gym and sitting there until the flash flood crazy squall of hail was done. So that was wild. No golf for me on Saturday. But then Monday I got back to Missoula, and it was just absolutely raining cats and dogs again. So I didn't get any golf in on Monday. But Tuesday I did play. It was a fun day. I had my worst 9 holes of the year on the front 9. Shot a 51, and then came back and rallied and shot even par on the back to come in and get a cool 87. So I'll take that when you shoot a 51 on the front, no doubt. Best back 9 of the year. And then Wednesday I did get my 36 in. Played one course then another. Played our great friends Canyon River in the afternoon. That was certainly very fun as well. And then got one round each in at Canyon River on Thursday and Friday. And then that was it. But it was still a really fun time, really fun week of golf, no question. This is the life of a golfer, though. I know nobody wants to hear about your pursuits of scores, but I do think it's sort of funny. So I shot in the 30s on one of the 2 9s during my 18-hole rounds, 4 out of the 5 rounds. And then was in the high 40s or low 50s the other time. I set a goal to be, I wanted to average a score of 82. I'm like a 9.5 handicap. I wanted to average a score of 82 for the week. Didn't get it, averaged 84.5, and that's why your handicap is accurate. Because if you're a 9.5 or a 10, your average score, if you were to go on the Gin app, it would say it's probably between an 85 and an 86. So that was good. So I got my golf fixed during the week. And then on Saturday, we had a great day. I took my son to the farmer's market, cruised around there for a little while. Came home, played in the yard, and then in the afternoon went to my good buddy's house and played in the pool, and then we lit off fireworks. And then Sunday, spent some more time hanging out, walking around the neighborhood, going to the park, had some lunch with some pals, and took a nap Sunday afternoon. Went out and saw great grandma and got some good, had a good conversation with her, and then turned her in early, and now here we are, back at it. So it was a great vacation. Thanks for letting me take a little bit of time away, and certainly feeling good here today. And I didn't achieve my golf goal, but certainly it was fun hanging out with anybody and everybody that I played with, and it was awesome hanging out with my family all weekend long as well. So feeling reinvigorated, feeling ready to roll. All right, now back to business. So we talked about the soccer fever. I do feel like this is a real thing, right? I think that, again, I think there's multiple factors that go into this. I do think that there's more hype around this World Cup as we sit here in the United States of America because this is being played in North America, right? Most of the sites are in the United States. There's a couple in Canada, a couple in Mexico. But that's only one factor. I also think that soccer has always been a global game, but now you have so many countries that are real like soccer powers. Like in the round of 32, I mean, you're looking through this. Who are the outliers? I mean, maybe Congo, Cape Verde, Algeria, Ghana. I mean, but even those have a little bit of soccer tradition. But then you go through the countries that have real deal, no question soccer tradition. I mean, Germany, Paraguay, France, Sweden. Canada has reignited soccer prowess. The Netherlands is really good, but they lost to Morocco, which was sort of an upset. Went to a shootout. Morocco outlasts them. Portugal, Croatia, Spain, Austria. The United States has always been sort of middling when it comes to this conversation. And the United States is, I'm not going to say they're an actual championship contender, but they're in the mix. And if they win tonight, they're in the Final Eight, which would be unbelievable. But Brazil, Norway, Mexico, England, Argentina, the Swiss, the Colombians. I mean, there's so many that have had teams that have been pretty good, and they all are pretty dang good right now. So I do think that sort of the acceleration of development, the acceleration of skill development, the investment in soccer, when you add the traditional powers like the Argentinas and Germanys and France and Spain, they've always been good. They probably always will be good. But then you add in other industrialized countries that are pouring more resources into it and that have attracted better athletes, especially the North American countries like United States, Canada, and Mexico. And then you add in, an upstart like Morocco, and now this gets really fun. Now you have real, I think anybody and everybody that's in the round of 16 is a pretty legitimate contender. And now we'll see. We'll see who advances. So here's where we're at so far in the round of 16. Paraguay pulled one of the upsets of the tournament by beating Germany. And then they ran into the machine that is the French. So the French beat Paraguay 1-0. So they are into the quarterfinals. Morocco has been one of the upstarts as well. They won in a shootout against the Netherlands. And then they took on a really good Canada team that made it to the round of 16 by beating South Africa. And Morocco actually spanked the Canadians 3-0. So that's like a true road win there too, because Canada's playing on their home turf. Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo's probably his swan song. I would be heavily surprised if he or Lionel Messi ever played in the World Cup again. But Portugal outlasted Croatia. Croatia is also another one of those upstart teams that had really high hopes and probably is one of their better international teams ever. But Portugal outlasted them 2-1 in the round of 32. Spain, no trouble with Austria. They won 3-0. The Spanish did. United States had very little trouble with Bosnia as well. 2-0. They win. Belgium outlasts the Senegal, so that's how they get into the round of 16, and they play the United States tonight. Brazil beat Japan 2-1 in the round of 32. Norway beat Ivory Coast 2-1. Mexico beat Ecuador 2-0. England beat Congo 2-1. Argentina beat Cape Verde. This match was incredibly entertaining. Went all the way to double extra time. And then Argentina, the defending World Cup champs, they outlast Cape Verde. I had no idea about Cape Verde. I want to go to this place. Cape Verde is a collection of 10 islands that's off the northwestern horn of Africa. But it was first. There's imperial influence from Portugal, so they speak Portuguese. But this place looks unbelievable. It's only about 570,000 residents. What a cool moment for them! And they took the defending World Cup champions all the way down to the wire before, respectfully bowing out. But Argentina stays alive with a 3-2 win. Egypt got past Australia on penalty kicks. Switzerland beat Algeria 2-0, and Colombia beat Ghana 1-0. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. So here's where your round of 16's at then. France is through. They beat Paraguay 1-0. Morocco's through. They beat Canada 1-0. Norway is through. They beat Brazil 2-1. And England is through. You probably watched that last night. That was the Sunday night primetime game. This was at Stadium Azteca in Mexico City. This was the most expensive sports ticket in the history of sport. The average ticket price last night in Mexico City, $4,400. Crazy. And devastating for the Mexicans to lose. But what a cool and great match it was. England jolted out. Mexico came back. Then England got the game winner late. So Norway and England will play in the quarterfinals. France and Morocco will play in the quarterfinals. The other matches, though, still to be determined. Portugal and Spain play today, and the winner of that plays the winner of United States and Belgium. That one again at 6 p.m. And then tomorrow, Argentina plays Egypt, and Switzerland plays Colombia, and the winner of those play in another quarterfinal as well. The quarterfinals will begin on July 9th, so that's Thursday. There'll also be a quarterfinal on Friday, and then 2 on Saturday. So World Cup fever certainly real here in America and around the globe. There's a cool new documentary on HBO all about the journey of Team USA to get to this point. It starts when North America was awarded through FIFA the right to host the World Cup. And there's just basically a chronicle of the last 4 years. How they built their team, the trials and tribulations they've gone through. But one stat that really stuck out to me is they were talking about the reach of this. We talk about the Super Bowl all the time, right? In the Super Bowl, somewhere between 50 and 80 million people in America are going to watch that. That's a pretty impressive amount, right? That's anywhere between like a third and a quarter of the population of the United States is at some point watching the Super Bowl. That's a lot. They estimate that 6 billion people will at some point watch the World Cup in some form or fashion. 6 billion. 75% of the world's population. That is so crazy to me. Now, again, that's not 6 billion people watching Mexico versus England or United States versus Belgium. That's just anybody watching any of the tournament at all, right? And I mean, to put that in perspective, Portugal, Spain is match 91 of this tournament, and United States, Belgium's match 92. So that's a lot of matches to pick from. But there's also like this global phenomenon going on where the soccer has become very much like the NBA, where it's a very highlight-driven sport. But then you put the international flavor to it, and now if you got internet connection, or even if you don't, like if you have any proximity to anybody with an internet connection, now you're getting exposure to this. That's where that 6 billion comes from. This is people that are just going to be exposed to the World Cup through social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, but also television, highlights, anything that exists. But that's crazy exposure, and talk about a huge platform for the game. And I think that's why that feels like there's so much buzz. I also think that people, specifically as I sit in Missoula, Montana, are very into this as well. I can't believe how many people I've run into. What have you been up to? Oh, I'm going to go watch this match. Not even a U.S. match, right? Like we were doing fireworks on Friday night over at my brother's father-in-law's house, and we saw multiple neighbors that were walking down. Oh, what are you up to? Oh, we're going to go watch the Colombia match tonight, or we're going to watch Argentina, Cape Verde. Like that's pretty cool, right? That people are buying in to watch any of the matches, let alone just the ones the United States are in. So I think the buzz is very real, and it's certainly very fun. So once again, we'll keep reminding you throughout the show, but if you want to watch United States versus Belgium this evening, 6 p.m. at Ogren Park, the Missoula Paddlehead Stadium, free community event. They'll have the game on for you. Go watch with all your Missoula neighbors and take in the beautiful game. More World Cup chatter in hour number 2, but for now, we'll take a break. We'll come back. I spent last weekend in the Magic City, the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame, our 10th anniversary. Thoughts, impressions, and Brock Coyle's awesome speech, the former Grizz, a proud inductee into the 10th annual Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll hear from him next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Team USA is the only North American country still alive in the World Cup, and in the spirit of supporting America's pursuit of soccer greatness, Paddleheads and Missoula City Parks and Rec will host a free community event tonight to watch the beautiful game. Hello, I am Coulter Nuanez. Team USA takes on Belgium in the World Cup round of 16 tonight at 6 p.m. The winner advances to the round of 8, which would tie the farthest an American team has ever advanced at the most prestigious soccer tournament in the world. The United States advanced to this point with a 4-0 win over Paraguay and a 2-0 win over Australia to emerge from team pool play. Team USA then defeated Bosnia 2-0 to advance to the round of 16. America is the only North American team remaining after England emerged with a 3-2 win over Mexico in Mexico City Sunday night. Canada was eliminated last week in a 3-0 loss to Morocco in the round of 32 as well. The United States and Belgium begin at 6 p.m. Monday night. The Missoula Paddleheads and the city of Missoula will host a free community event at Ogren Park to show the game. Come enjoy the World Cup action with your Garden City neighbors. The event is free and open to the public. Belgium advanced to the round of 16 by beating Senegal 3-2 in the round of 32. Belgium had 1 win and 2 draws during pool play.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
one thing that has changed so much about the world is soundtracks, right? When movies were at their height, and I think movies have just reframed themselves, right? The big blockbusters and the Marvel movies and the big spectacles, superhero movies and stuff like that. I think that's still a very viable thing, part of the studios, movie studios and all that sort of stuff. But so much of the great writers have gone towards writing TV shows, right? Like you used to be able to go to, you'll look up the movies. This is for, if you're too young to remember, first of all, newspapers, and like the newspapers would list the movies that were playing in each individual theater. But you could go look at, let's say that the movie theater had 10 screens, and you'd have 3 or 4 different choices of genres of movies, right? You'd have the kids' movies, you'd have the comedy, maybe the romantic comedy, but you'd have the drama. There were so many movies that were dramas. Now, most of the dramas are just Netflix, right? Those writers just write that for... like The Sopranos would have been a 3 or 4 part mobster movie series in the 70s. It would have been The Godfather reincarnate, right? But now, coming out in the 2000s, it became a 7-season series, and the writers can just go so much deeper because it's like writing a 50 or 60 hour movie. Game of Thrones, same deal. Like that just would have been a trilogy of 3-hour movies years ago, and then it became a 7 or 8 season series. Anyways, for those that don't remember all of this, CDs, records and CDs used to be how you get all your music. You don't have these digital subscriptions and everything. So soundtracks, especially in the 80s, is such a big deal, became this thing where artists could have basically a free single. They could put a song on a soundtrack and they could get some royalties off of that. Well, long story short, I got myself a 4th of July shirt this year. Got an Apollo Creed shirt. I ordered it actually months ago, but busted it out on 4th of July. And it's just Apollo Creed in his red, white, and blue from the Rocky movies. It just says "Living in America," an homage to that great James Brown song. So then I was listening to that song, and then I start listening to the whole Rocky IV soundtrack. So that's the motivation for today's playlist. Rocky IV soundtrack. What a great soundtrack. You got Eye of the Tiger. You got Living in America by James Brown. You got No Easy Way Out by Robert Tepper. You'll hear. It's corny. It's funny. It's quintessential 80s, but it's pretty good. Pretty funny. So that's the motivation. Then I threw a couple other old school soundtrack classics in on there as well. So that's what's coming up. And that's a look behind the curtain here on Nuanez Now. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. Thanks so much to our great friends at Cash One Pawn. Cash One Pawn is the premier pawn shop in western Montana. If you need quick cash, head on out to Cash One Pawn. They have collateralized loans, non-collateralized loans. They can get you cash in your hand quick. They also have an awesome inventory of everything from firearms to jewelry to speaker equipment to outdoor equipment to power tools and everything in between. You can check out that inventory either at the showroom on Roller Coaster Road or by shopping online, Cash One Pawn. That's cash1pawn.com. Great time with the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've told the backstory on here before, but I get to know these athletes that we cover a fair amount. But sometimes you get some interpersonal connections that make it so you get to know them quite a bit. And Brock Coyle was certainly a guy who I got to know really well during his college days. First of all, he's the same grade as my brother, so they were playing for the Grizz together for a couple years. But also, Brock, his girlfriend in college was one of my mother's best friend's daughters. So we would, go to family events together and stuff, weddings and stuff like that. Then Brock, when he went to the NFL, his agent was the late, great Ken Stanager, who was my next-door neighbor my whole life. So that was another personal connection. I've just always tried to stay close to Brock. I've really enjoyed my friendship and also just our professional relationship as well. He has been so cordial and so cool to come on this show over the years. And I was the one who nominated him for the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's not like it took a favor. The guy played in the NFL for 6 years. He was a starting inside linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers at the peak of his NFL career, played in the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks. So it was my great honor to to nominate and then help him get inducted. I got a chance to write his bio. So we played in the golf tournament at the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame last weekend in Billings, actually in Huntley at Pryor Creek, which is a cool course there just outside of Billings. And, man, Brock can hit the ball, man. He's got a smooth swing for a linebacker, but he can torque it if he needs to. On hole 7, which is like the quintessential par 5 there at Pryor Creek, I hit a couple. Me and a couple other guys hit some safe ones, and we were just in the fairway. So Brock got a chance to cut the corner. I'm not kidding. I've never seen somebody hit a golf ball so far. 388 yards with the triangulation is what we got it off the tee box. So we got up and down, got ourselves a nice little eagle, and we were off and running. So fun playing golf with him, but even more fun seeing a great friend of mine get inducted in the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. Some of these speeches, we're going to play just excerpts because they're a little bit long. I don't know if you necessarily need to listen to, a 20, 25-minute speech. But Brock, being the coachable guy that he is, he followed the rules to the T. We give these guys a 10 to 12-minute speech length limit. Almost always they go over. Brock did not go over. He nailed it. He almost hit it right on the head. It was about 10 and a half minutes of Brock Coyle, his speech from the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame the weekend before last.
Oh, man, Andre, fourth quarter, man. Don't worry, 10 minutes, I got you. First, I want to thank the entire Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame for their vision and commitment to celebrating the incredible football history of this state and the players who have helped build that legacy. Congratulations on 10 years of honoring Montana football. What you've created is something truly special. Standing here tonight, during this 10-year anniversary, is one of the most meaningful moments of my life. Said I wouldn't get emotional, of course, right away. I love the state of Montana, and I love the game of football. Together, Montana and football shaped the man standing before you today. Football taught me hard work. It taught me resilience. It taught me humility, toughness, and grit. It taught me how to handle success, how to respond to adversity, and how to keep moving forward when things don't go according to plan. To be recognized tonight as one of the best football players to ever come out of this great state is an honor that's difficult to put into words. When I was a kid, playing in the NFL wasn't just a dream, it was the dream. It's all I ever wanted to do. I believed it long before anyone else did. I believed it when I was throwing footballs in the backyard with my brother. I believed it during the early morning runs in high school and the long hours in the weight room in college. Every day, I worked toward that singular goal. And if there's one message I hope people take away from my journey, it's this: never underestimate the power of believing in yourself. Before I talk about football, I want to recognize the people who made this journey possible. To my mom, Dina Coyle, thank you. As a parent now myself, I now fully understand the sacrifices you made as a single mother raising our family. You carried that responsibility with strength, grace, and determination. You loved me, supported me, believed in me every step of the way. Without your sacrifice, your encouragement, your unwavering support, I would not be standing here tonight. I love you, and your grandkids sure love their Mimi. To my brother Chris and my sister Alexa, thank you for being my biggest supporters throughout my entire journey. From Bozeman High School to Washington Grizzly Stadium to CenturyLink Field and Levi Stadium, you were always there. Thank you for your love, your encouragement, and your belief in me. I love you both. To my wife Kelly, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you for your love, your patience, your kindness, companionship. You're just the best, babe. I love you. While this honor means so much to me, being your husband and being the father to our children is the greatest blessing, greatest honor in my life. And to my children, crew, good job, buddy, sitting here all night. My 6-year-old. My little daughter, Grace, who's definitely asleep, and Cora, who are asleep. You guys never got to watch me play football, but tonight you get to see what years of hard work, sacrifice, perseverance, and belief can lead to. I hope this evening shows you that no dream is too big. Dream boldly, work hard, believe in yourselves, and never let anyone tell you what is possible. I love you so much. Lastly, I want to thank God. There were many moments throughout my football career that I didn't know what the future held. There were setbacks, disappointments, injuries, challenges that tested me in ways I never expected. Through it all, my faith gave me strength, perspective, and peace. It gave me confidence when I stepped onto the field and hope when I couldn't see the journey ahead. I'm grateful for the many blessings God has given me, and I know none of this would have been possible without His guidance and His grace. Thank you, God. My football journey began at Bozeman High School. One of the most important lessons I learned there was that leadership isn't just about winning. We only won 3 games that year, but as the captain of the team, being the leader was about showing up, competing, giving your best regardless of the circumstance. That lesson followed me throughout my football career. From there, I was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship to play at the University of Montana. My coach, Coach Delaney's here tonight. He recruited me and ended up being my head coach. Coach, thank you for believing in me. I got recruited by the Grizz, and stepping onto that campus, playing at Washington Grizzly Stadium, changed my life forever. My senior year as a Grizzly remains one of the most meaningful years of my life. Being voted team captain and team MVP meant everything to me, because those honors came from my teammates and my coaches, of whom I worked alongside every single day. But there was also disappointment. One of my goals at UM was to earn first team all-conference honors. That never happened. At the time, it hurt. But looking back, that disappointment became fuel. Sometimes the goals we don't end up achieving help us more than the ones we do. That lesson became even more important when the NFL draft arrived. Like every kid who dreams about playing in the NFL, I imagined hearing my name called during the draft, but it never happened. I wasn't drafted, and a lifetime dream was not to be fulfilled. As the draft concluded, teams began calling. I'll never forget sitting on the couch with my brother Chris with his laptop open as he researched every single roster and every opportunity to help me make the best decision. My brother was ChatGPT before ChatGPT. He was ChatGPT Chris. Thank you, bro. In the end, I bet on myself, and I signed with the defending Super Bowl champions, Seattle Seahawks. It was the best football decision I ever made. Early in training camp, I found myself taking first team reps at middle linebacker due to an injury to bench starter Bobby Wagner. Suddenly, a kid from Montana was calling defensive plays for the defending Super Bowl champions. My first NFL preseason game came against the Denver Broncos and the great Peyton Manning. I'll never forget lining up across from the great quarterback on the first play, looking at him, he's looking at me, and I thought to myself, well, I'm definitely in the NFL now. Thankfully, I was ready. I went on to have a great training camp and preseason. I made the team. I became a defensive contributor, a core special teams player, and I won an NFC championship and played in the Super Bowl. It was an unforgettable rookie season. Seattle became my NFL home for the next 3 years. I was so fortunate to learn from incredible teammates, legendary teammates, Hall of Fame teammates, and coaches who showed me what championship habits and true professionalism look like. Coach Pete Carroll taught me many lessons, but one stood above the rest: always compete. But not just against others. Compete against yourself. Compete to become a better version of yourself every single day. When my time in Seattle came to a close, I joined the 49ers in free agency and went on to play the best football of my career. I started 10 games at middle linebacker that year and earned a contract extension that validated the years of hard work, sacrifice, and perseverance throughout my entire football life. For me, looking back, that contract was the culmination of my football career. It was the validation of greatness that I worked so hard for my entire football life, and I will forever be grateful to the 49ers organization for that. But like all of us inductees, injuries happened and adversity struck again the following season, and I suffered an injury that ultimately ended my career. It wasn't how I imagined football ending, but it gave me perspective I never knew I needed. A perspective of deep gratitude for all the game it taught me. It taught me discipline, teamwork, intentionality, and attention to detail. And now, more importantly, it taught me to be a better husband, a better father, and a better man. After my football career concluded, I wanted to find ways to give back. Helping establish the Coil Recovery Room at the University of Montana and giving back to my alma mater, and more specifically, the student athletes, remains one of the proudest moments of my life, and football made that possible. When people ask me what I'm most proud of from my football career, they may expect me to talk about the teams, the games, the championships, or playing in the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong, those moments are very, very special. But they're not what matter most. What matters most are the relationships built along the journey, the life lessons, the people, my teammates, my coaches, the fans. Tonight, my football legacy is cemented, and I'm deeply, deeply honored. And it's a legacy I'm proud of.
Brock Coyle, induction speech into the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. It was a great event, and we'll share. There's 7 inductees this year, so I don't know if I'm necessarily going to share all the speeches, but certainly going to share excerpts from some of the pertinent ones. Definitely want to share Tony Bodie's speech, former Montana State Bobcat, who then went on to be a Super Bowl captain for the Denver Broncos. A great speech for a variety of reasons. Bodie had some, I guess, sort of well-known personal problems back during his playing career, and he has gotten completely on the straight and narrow and had an exceptionally successful life since he retired from football. So that was certainly inspiring. Also, I've known Tim Rosenbaugh for a long time as a guy who was the offensive coordinator for the Grizz in the early 2010s, and then again in Bobby Houck 2.0 for several years. And I sort of knew that he was a great player, but I had no idea how great of a player. He was an awesome player. So hearing Rosenbaugh tell stories about his time as a player, which he played high school football in Missoula at Hellgate because his dad was a coach for the Grizz and then got a job at Washington State. You know, Rosenbaugh goes to Washington State. He goes to Pullman, finishes his high school career there, and then goes to Washington State. It's a Heisman finalist. The rest is history. Plays in the NFL. Thought that was a very interesting story that I didn't know a lot about, so we'll share some of that induction speech with you as well. And, of course, we'll share Andre Patterson, a new friend of the show, a guy who's joined us several times, a former Grizz player turned coach who then went on to a very successful 43-year coaching career that included multiple stints with the Minnesota Vikings, plus stints with the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. And Andre's a great orator, awesome storyteller, so we'll have an excerpt of his speech as well. So more Pro Football Hall of Fame coming up all week here on Nuanez Now. The Absolute Fight Factory returns to Missoula July 11th at the legendary Big Sky Brewing Company backyard, presented by Young Power Sports Missoula and Young Grizzly Harley-Davidson. A full evening of heart-pumping MMA cage fights, UFC special guests, and so much more. July 11th, the Big Sky Brewing's backyard. VIP and general admission tickets available at Young Motorsports and Young Grizzly Harley-Davidson. The main event features Lattimore versus Hegstead in an interim featherweight championship. Check out tickets at Young Power Sports or Young Grizzly Harley-Davidson, or call or text us right now, 406-888-1029. We got 2 tickets for you. These are $30 tickets each, so it's a $60 value. 406-888-1029. Call or text us. Let us know if you want a pair of tickets to Saturday's Absolute Fight Factory at Big Sky Brewing, probably presented by Young Power Sports and Young Grizzly Harley-Davidson. Take a break, come back. In-state recruiting battle coming your way. The Grizz swung back again. This has been a back and forth between the Grizz and the Cats. We'll go over that next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller and Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller and Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
It's so interesting because I do think there's maybe not just a handful, but there's a couple dozen songs that have just become part of the American sporting lexicon. Songs that you just hear when you go to games, or you just associate them directly with sports. And sometimes I think we take those songs for granted because they almost become homogenized, like they almost become part of just the overall sports experience. Queen has several of those songs. We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions. So that song, Eye of the Tiger by Survivor, it's just a part of the sporting lexicon. And then sometimes I think it becomes not just homogenized, maybe we're just numb to it almost, or we don't really comprehend it. It's a great song, man. And I know that you've heard it a million times, all that, but it's just good. Good down-home 80s music and good down-home soundtracking. That's the motivation. That's the theme of today's playlist is the soundtracks. I'm on a kick. It's because of my Apollo Creed shirt, so I started listening to the Rocky IV soundtrack. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling. They can pick it up at your house a couple times a month. If you want to add the service or make the switch, call 541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal. The only bears that should be in your garbage. As of this weekend, in my humble estimation, I think that the top 10 in-state prospects for high school football players in the state of Montana, and I would probably even go as far as to say probably like the top, I think 14 out of the top 15 are committed to a collection of different schools, but the vast majority, I shouldn't say the vast, but a majority of them are committed to the Grizz. And then a smattering of them are committed to the Cats, and a couple others are committed to FBS schools out of state. And the latest swing comes as a swing back, because I thought going into my vacation, the Grizz had gotten this early string of recruits in-state through the increased and pretty impressive efforts of Bobby Kennedy on the recruiting trail. That group included Quincy King, Missoula Big Sky, Eli Kasberg, Missoula Big Sky, Cooper Pelt, Kalispell Glacier, and Drew Almquist, Helena Capital. I think all four of those guys are top 10 recruits in the state of Montana. So right out the gates, you're thinking Bobby Kennedy is winning the in-state recruiting battle, and what a deal, because the Grizz lost to the Cats twice in a month last year, and the Cats won the national championship, so that's huge inroads. Well, then the Cats swing back. They get commitments from Cade Lebrand from Laurel, who's a top 10 guy, and then Leighton Erickson from Seiko, and Dax Yeager of Shoto. I think both those guys are good players, but I don't know necessarily if they're the straight-up blue-chip guys. So you're still thinking, okay, the Cats swung back a little bit, but the Grizz are still winning. Well, then the Cats made a big swing back with Cannon Richmond from Three Forks, who I think is one of the 3 or 4 best players in the state this year in terms of college prospects, and Lane Humphrey, who I think is one of the best players in the state in terms of his film and his production from Billings West. Both those guys committed to the Cats in late June. So now you're sitting there thinking, okay, maybe the Grizz have a slight edge, but the Cats are right there. And this is fun, right? Everybody's going back and forth. Well, then over the last couple weeks, you saw Steele Harris from Great Falls High commit to Wisconsin, so he goes neither side of the rivalry. So that's not a win or a loss for either side. I think you'd probably consider it a loss, because I think either side would have loved to have him. But there's no real bragging rights there with him going to the Big Ten. Then you had Gunnar Larson from Billings Central, who's a 6'5", 210-pound wide receiver, who I think is a great athlete, also getting recruited heavily by the Cats and the Grizz. He commits to Army. And then you have the Glasgow kid, Cade Hudmia. I know somebody texted us multiple weeks ago a pronunciation guide for Cade, and that was a long time ago. So we got your text. Hayden corrected me. I can't remember. So if you're listening, text me again. I know his mom is Linda Cummings, who played for the Lady Grizz. Anyways, he's from Glasgow. He's going to Colorado State. So that was 3 guys that were right there in the top 10 or 12 that are going elsewhere. So then the lone guy who was a top 10 guy, in my opinion, top 5 guy, in my opinion, that was uncommitted was Walker Olson from Billings West. Well, guess what? Walker Olson committed to the Grizz over the weekend. So now Montana back to having a pretty firm upper hand. I think 6 out of the top 10, in my evaluation of this, is going to the Grizz. The Cats got 3 out of the top 10. And then you got one that is going to the Big Ten and Steele Harris. So that's your update. Hudema is how you say it. Excuse me. Cade Hudema. Thank you, Hayden. Appreciate it. He's the Glasgow prospect that's going to Colorado State. Want to get him here on the show, no question. But I think the Grizz have an upper hand. But that doesn't mean it's over, because there's definitely still some guys that are out there that are uncommitted. For example, Hunter Daniels at Kalispell Glacier is a really good prospect. Titan Sebastian from East Helena, who's a defensive lineman. I think he's a very good prospect. Isaiah Greer from Lockwood is a guy that has offers from both schools. It's a really good year for Montana high school recruits. And it's going to be fun to see how it all plays out. But as of right now, Montana has a firm upper hand in the in-state recruiting battle. Hour 1 in the books, Hour 2 coming at you. We're going to go through all the different news briefs that we missed while I was away, including Bobby Kennedy getting a 4-year contract. That's a perfect parlay because in-state recruiting is a huge reason why. We'll talk about the details of the contract and my opinions on the contract next. Don't change that down. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
In honor of our Green Nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. The entire lineup of top-rated mattress brands are on sale with prices starting at $149 up to top-of-the-line mattresses with lifetime warranties. Get the sleep you deserve with payments starting at $39 a month. Mattress Firm has pillows, sheets, adjustable bases, all on sale too during their biggest 4th of July sale ever. Locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
For Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Team USA is the only North American country still alive in the World Cup, and in the spirit of supporting America's pursuit of soccer greatness, Paddleheads and Missoula City Parks and Rec will host a free community event tonight to watch the beautiful game. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Team USA takes on Belgium in the World Cup round of 16 tonight at 6 p.m. The winner advances to the round of 8, which would tie the farthest an American team has ever advanced at the most prestigious soccer tournament in the world. The United States advanced to this point with a 4-0 win over Paraguay and a 2-0 win over Australia to emerge from team pool play. Team USA then defeated Bosnia 2-0 to advance to the round of 16. America is the only North American team remaining after England emerged with a 3-2 win over Mexico in Mexico City Sunday night. Canada was eliminated last week in a 3-0 loss to Morocco in the round of 32 as well. The United States and Belgium begin at 6 p.m. Monday night. The Missoula Paddleheads and the city of Missoula will host a free community event at Ogren Park to show the game. Come enjoy the World Cup action with your Garden City neighbors. The event is free and open to the public. Belgium advanced to the round of 16 by beating Senegal 3-2 in the round of 32. Belgium had 1 win and 2 draws during pool play.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
The song's so corny and it's just so good. Wish we could have songs like this still. Welcome back. I'm on the Rocky IV soundtrack because I wore an Apollo Creed shirt on 4th of July. That's how it goes. Welcome inside my mind. Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Appreciate you for kicking it with us. Hope you have a great start to your week. Hope you had a great 4th of July holiday, and I hope you're enjoying your summer. I'm Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. If you need a roll-off box for your construction project, don't let the ordering of one slow you down. Grizzly Disposal has them in their stock, and they can get them to you within 24 hours. Don't wait days or even weeks for your construction roll-off box. Grizzly Disposal has them in stock. You get them to you fast. All you have to do is visit grizzlydisposal.com. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage. Missed anything in the show so far? We talked some World Cup. A little less than an hour before Team USA takes on Belgium. Want a place to watch the match? How about right down by the Clark Fork River at Ogren Park Allegiance Field? That's the Missoula Paddleheads baseball stadium. Free community event tonight. They are showing the game to any and everybody that wants to come on down and hang out. So that's pretty cool. So if you're in around the area and need somewhere to watch the game, head on down there. Again, 6 p.m. against Belgium. So that's a pretty neat deal. We also heard from Brock Coyle, his induction speech into the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame, a former Grizz who then went on to play half a dozen years in the NFL, played in the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks, played for the San Francisco 49ers before a devastating neck and back injury ended his career, but he's doing great, and he was very honored to be a part of the induction class. So we played that speech for you. Then we also talked some in-state recruiting with the latest swing back for the Grizz. The Cats had gotten a couple high-profile recruits, Canna Richmond from Three Forks and Lane Humphrey from Billings West. Some thought that maybe Humphrey going to the Cats was a symbol of what might come next, with potentially Walker Olson going to the Cats as well. That's not the case. Walker Olson did not go to Montana State. Walker Olson, the other great Billings West prospect, he gave his commitment to the Montana Grizzlies. So 2 of the 3 D1 guys from West, Jack Ryan and Walker Olson, go to the Grizz, and 1, Lane Humphrey, going to the Bobcats. So Billings West continues to be a football factory, and the Grizz continue to make inroads in the in-state recruiting battle. All that on the Nuanez Now podcast, available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe, and we appreciate you. So that's where we're starting. I wanted to do a little segment called Since We've Been Gone, because I have not been on the air in a little while. I think we had 6 straight weekdays without a show, and that's a long time for us, certainly when you're in the news and commentary business. So here's what's gone down across the state of Montana the last week of June into the first week of July. Bobby Kennedy awarded a 4-year contract. I actually can't believe how many people texted me asking my opinion about this, which I think is a great indication to all you people that listen to the show loyally, which is great. We appreciate you. We couldn't do it without you. We wouldn't do it without you. But so many people are like, well, I want to know your take on this, and you're not on the air, so you got to tell me. Well, here I am telling you. So here's the couple things you got to know about the Kennedy contract. First of all, this is at the same time the most creative and advantageous buyout structure that I have ever seen in a contract. I think a lot of people were wondering why would you give a guy a long-term contract who's never coached a game? Like on the front end of this, I think that in terms of the off-the-field stuff, Bobby Kennedy has been a tremendous breath of fresh air for the University of Montana. I think that his positive attitude, his outward personality, his sort of be present wherever he needs to be strategy, I think is all working to his and Grizz football and Grizz athletics favor. So that part, he's winning the offseason. I mean, again, if you were to rank the top 10 or 12 recruits in the state of Montana, he's got commitments from 6 of them. The Cats got 3 and several FBS got 3. So that is objectively a win. But a commitment is not a signing. So what the Grizz were fast-tracking toward, who knows what's going to happen in the fall, right? There's no way to predict it. There's no way to know the future. But there was a scenario that was existing in which the Grizz had commitments from all these high-profile in-state recruits, but that they would have a coach that was either on the hot seat or not the coach anymore by the time the early signing period rolls around. The early signing period is in late December. Then the late signing period is in early February. Well, what happens if the Grizz don't live up to snuff and they have an average or below average year, and then after the Bobcat game or after an early, I'm not saying the Grizz are going to lose to the Cats, and I'm not saying they're going to exit the playoffs early, but you have to consider all the potential scenarios. Like, the potential scenarios are that Bobby Kennedy is dynamite and the Grizz go undefeated and they win the national championship, or that they are pretty dang good and they're as good as they were a year ago, but they can't get over the hump against the rival, but they still make a deep playoff run, or they're not as good as they were a year ago and they take a step back, but they're still good enough to make the playoffs, or it's a disaster. I don't think there's any scenario in which the Grizz miss the playoffs next year, because I think the FCS that's just where they're at. In the FCS, I think that the way the schedule works and everything, I think they're just going to win. I think they're going to win 7 games, period. And so then if you win even one swing game, you win, especially because you have 8 home games. I don't see a scenario where the Grizz miss the playoffs, but that is a scenario you have to consider, right? So there's all these different scenarios. And each one leads to a different future for Bobby Kennedy and his staff. Well, that future is in peril even more than if all the goodwill and all the good work that he's done this offseason is for naught. Like, if the scenario of the Grizz being better than they were a year ago or as good as they were a year ago is not achieved, now you have a muddled coaching situation. I don't know what this means for the national search, because Ken Haslam, the athletic director at Montana, said the day that Bobby Hauck announced his retirement and that Bobby Kennedy was sliding in, they didn't want to give him an interim tag, but they did say he was on a 1-year contract. And then they said they were going to do a national search. Well, the fact that Bobby Kennedy signed a 4-year deal, I don't know if that eliminates the fact they're going to do a national search or not. I think that probably does, though. I think that – so here, let's get to the buyout before I get ahead of myself here. You give him the 4-year deal because it gives you stability on the recruiting trail and it gives you affirmation for what Bobby Kennedy has done thus far. All the pundits and the skeptics can say the guy has not coached in or won a football game. I understand that. But if you have him on a 1-year deal, that is disadvantageous to maintain any momentum that Kennedy and his staff are able to manufacture or sustain this current offseason. Because everybody that's recruiting is going to keep recruiting all the guys that are committed to the Grizz, and they're going to tell them, hey, this guy has no stability. This guy has a 1-year contract. This guy might just lose a game in Bozeman and not get retained. Or if they don't go 10-2, you can just imagine what Idaho and Montana State and South Dakota State would be using against with some of these top recruits. So you give him the 4-year deal for optics, but also for stability, but also for affirmation for what he's done so far. But the other reason you do it is because you made this creative and advantageous buyout language. So here's the key to the whole contract. And I'm not going to bore you with all the ins and outs of Bobby Kennedy gets this many thousands of dollars for this bonus. You can find the contract all post the contract. It's posted on multiple news outlets right now. So you can go through and see how much extra money he can make for public speaking appearances, to academic achievements, to sellouts, to winning the national championship. You can go and see all those bonuses. But the one part of the contract I will read you verbatim that I think is the most important part of the contract is all about the buyout. So here's the two key paragraphs. In the reworked contract extension, this is quoting this, in the reworked contract extension, if Montana decides to part ways with Kennedy prior to the expiration of his contract, it will owe him a flat $100,000 payout that will be paid out over 6 months. So Kennedy's base salary is $175,000. That's actually significantly less than the base salary that Bobby Houck had or that the base salary Brett Vigen has. But to compare apples and oranges, but the sort of rivalry contracts, Vigen's got a $295,000 base plus a ton of guarantees and incentives that are like, they're guaranteed incentives. If Vigen was to either get fired or was to bail, the buyout would be significant. You're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that the university would have to come up with, or that the school that hired Vigen away would have to come up with. That is not the case for Kennedy. If Kennedy is not renewed or Kennedy gets fired, it costs the University of Montana a flat $100,000. That's basically half of his base salary. That's a pretty good deal for Montana. And also they could pay it out over 6 months. So it's roughly about $17,000 a month. That's a lot of money to all of us. Most of us, I should say. But for an athletic department, and I'm not saying the Grizz are rich by any means or they're rolling in money, but when when you're operating on a $28 to $30 million budget, you can figure out a way to manufacture $17,000 monthly revenue to get out from under this contract. It's not a huge, crazy thing if it doesn't go that way. So that is hugely advantageous to Grizz athletics. The second part, if Kennedy walks away early, so let's say he goes great, he gets a different job or whatever, he or his future employer will owe the university that same amount, $100,000, that is paid out over a 6-month time frame. So when you're asking, is it smart or dumb to give Bobby Kennedy a 4-year contract extension before he's ever coached a game? If Grizz Athletics was on the hook for $700,000, which is what, if Bobby Kennedy if you gave him a guaranteed 4-year contract at $175,000 base, you're on the hook for at least $700,000 in a normal contract, unless you put in some other language for years 2, 3, and 4. That, I think, would be very risky for Montana, having never coached a game. The way this language is worded, this is a $100,000 trial run. You give him the 4-year deal so that he has stability, so they can use that on the recruiting trail, so they can use that in the locker room, so they can use that with the fan base. He's got the stability. People cannot say he's a lame duck coach. He's on the hot seat. He's coaching for his job. Optics-wise, that's what it is. But then internally, you can still say if he doesn't live up to the billing, that's fine. We'll give him $100,000 and we're done. Wash your hands of it. You're on to the national search. That's it. If he kills it and gets a different job, also, you got some security here. So this is a great insurance policy University of Montana Athletics has been able to solidify. So when you're asking me what I think of this, I think this is smart for all the parties involved. Now, that said, I do think that if Kennedy does not live up to the billing, like if the offseason stuff far exceeds the in-season stuff, because the Grizz certainly have a lot of holes to fill defensively, and they have a whole revamped defense with a new scheme. So that's a huge question mark. We've talked about that endlessly on this show. But they also have a ton of talent. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Kaylee Ayat. They got one of the best players in the country in Eli Gilman. They got all this other offensive skill talent. They got a revamped offensive line with a new offensive line coach. There's all sorts of reasons why the Grizz should be good. And there's several reasons why the Grizz should be great. So if you fall short of that, I do think personally that you have to really take a look at maybe doing a national search. But we're not going to know that until November or December. And there's also the other scenario where it's the Ewing theory, right? Patrick Ewing walks away from the Knicks go to the finals. Bobby Hauck walks away from his alma mater, the Grizz roll. That is a scenario. This could be addition by subtraction. I am not predicting that, but that is an absolute scenario that exists. Either way, I think that this contract is smart. If you think, wow, I can't believe they gave this guy a 4-year deal without coaching a game, you have to realize that they signed up for a great insurance policy, and this is only going to cost them $100,000 if it doesn't work out, which is not that much money. Again, if they were to give him a 4-year contract where the first 3 were guaranteed or all 4 were guaranteed, and they were on the hook for between $700,000 and $1 million, I would say bad move. But the fact that they gave him a 4-year deal, and no matter what, it's going to cost him $100,000 to get out from under it at any time, and you can pay it at $16,666.67 a month. That's pretty good negotiations. On the Bobby Kennedy side of this thing, though, I think the fact that he agreed to this contract is actually a great thing for him and for anybody that follows the Grizz. Because this is him saying, I want my stability, I need my stability, help me get some stability. But also, you only want to give me a $100,000 buyout? That's fine. You're not going to need it. I'm betting on myself. You're not going to have to get rid of me after year 1 or year 2. Let's go. I'm doing this thing. So, and that's the other part that it provides stability for UM as well, is that let's say Kennedy takes the team he inherited and is good enough to come back next year. And then next year, let's say they get Ayat to stay and they're good again. But then let's say no more Ayat, no more Gilman. You know, who knows what happens with Brooks Davis? Who knows what happens when some of these other guys graduate or move on or transfer or whatever. Let's say year 3 it falls off. Well, now you still have the bailout. The $100,000 is any time they want to part ways. That's pretty good. And who knows? You know, if Kennedy did really well the next couple of years, I think you would probably want to renegotiate that. So that's when this gets interesting again. But for now, it gives you an out all across the board. Again, I do think that at some point, this job, the Grizz football job, needs to open. I mean, since Bobby Hauck left in 2009, you had a national search that resulted in Robin Pflugrad. He only coached the Grizz for 2 years. Then you had an interim situation that turned into a 3-year, basically, stopgap with Mick Delaney. Then you had a national search, and you hired Bob Stitt, which was an abject failure. And then you get to Bobby Hauck 2.0, which you could say when Stitt was gone, it was a national search, but like everybody that was following along knew that Bob Stitt was not renewed, and Bobby Hauck was basically the successor. Like, that move was very linear and connected. So, the fact of the matter is, over the last 17 years, the Grizz football job has been open ahead of the 2012 season, ahead of the 2015 season, ahead of the 2018 season, and ahead of the 2026 season. That's 4 times. And there's been 2 real national searches, and one resulted in Robin Pflugrad, who had deep University of Montana ties, had coached for Don Reed, had spent time in Missoula, several stints during his decorated coaching career, and the other resulted in Bob Stitt, who's basically the only guy from outside the family that the Grizz have hired to coach their football team in the last 40 years, and it resulted in missing the playoffs 2 times in 3 years. So there's only been really one national search. That resulted in Bob Stitt in 17 years. So I do think in terms of where the Grizz are at as a national brand, at some point there has to be a national search. But the fact of the matter is, we don't know what Bobby Kennedy is going to be. And the guy's got a national championship ring from when he was at Texas. And he's got a heck of a resume. So what if this is actually a guy that is a better candidate than maybe you could have ever gotten, and he ended up here because of circumstance? I mean, that's the craziest domino to think about falling, right? Bryce Erickson, who was the receivers coach for the Grizz for several years and did, by all accounts, a good job. His father is Dennis Erickson, the College Football Hall of Famer. And his dad's getting older. I'm not going to talk about anybody's personal lives, but I know that Bryce, he even said this on Twitter on it when he announced he was leaving. He stepped away from coaching to go take care of his parents who were getting older. And you got to respect that. But that left the Grizz without a receivers coach in like July. Well, Bobby Kennedy and Bobby Houck had worked together way back in the day at the University of Washington. So Houck basically asked Kennedy for a favor and says, hey, I need you to come be my receivers coach. Oh, by the way, you can live in my basement. Well, here you are. And then you go through, Kennedy's living in Houck's basement from basically like August through January. And then everything that went down goes down. And Houck is retired, and then he's unretired, and then he's in the Big Ten in Illinois. And all of a sudden, Bobby Kennedy's the head coach. Talk about the dominoes that would have to fall to get to that point. What if, though, the Grizz actually got a head coach that is as good of a candidate as you ever are going to get, basically through crazy domino circumstances? So, again, I would love to see a national search at the University of Montana someday. I'm not so sure that national search would give you anybody that's better than BK. But we have no idea. And that's what makes this also intriguing. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Appreciate you for hanging. I had a whole bunch here in this segment, but I wanted to really hash that out. And I've gotten so many texts and calls about it. So certainly, I answered a lot of you guys back. I also did not answer a lot of you guys back because I knew that I was going to do a whole segment on it. So there you go. Anybody that texted or called me asking about Bobby Kennedy's 4-year contract, there it is. There's your explanation. So I appreciate you for engaging and following along and your interest, certainly. Still playing clubs that don't fit your swing? You're leaving shots on the course. Last Best Golf Company specializes in professional club fitting and custom-built golf clubs designed specifically for you. Whether you're looking for more distance, tighter dispersion, or greater consistency, Last Best Golf Co.'s fitting process helps you get the most out of every swing. From drivers to putters, every club is built to your exact specs with precision and care. Stop guessing. Start playing your best golf. Last Best Golf Company, located at 517 South Orange Street. Experience the difference a proper fit can make. Take a break, come back, keep on, Grizz. Ian Fitch, the senior wide receiver from Missoula Hellgate, joins us next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you'd do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Team USA is the only North American country still alive in the World Cup, and in the spirit of supporting America's pursuit of soccer greatness, Paddleheads and Missoula City Parks and Rec will host a free community event tonight to watch the beautiful game. Hello, I am Coulter Nuanez. Team USA takes on Belgium in the World Cup round of 16 tonight at 6 p.m. The winner advances to the round of 8, which would tie the farthest an American team has ever advanced at the most prestigious soccer tournament in the world. The United States advanced to this point with a 4-0 win over Paraguay and a 2-0 win over Australia to emerge from team pool play. Team USA then defeated Bosnia 2-0 to advance to the round of 16. America is the only North American team remaining after England emerged with a 3-2 win over Mexico in Mexico City Sunday night. Canada was eliminated last week in a 3-0 loss to Morocco in the round of 32 as well. The United States and Belgium begin at 6 p.m. Monday night. The Missoula Paddleheads and the city of Missoula will host a free community event at Ogren Park to show the game. Come enjoy the World Cup action with your Garden City neighbors. The event is free and open to the public. Belgium advanced to the round of 16 by beating Senegal 3-2 in the round of 32. Belgium had 1 win and 2 draws during pool play.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. 1029 ESPN Radio. We're talking soundtracks today for the playlist. Kenny Loggins made a career off of the soundtracks. I mean, he made a career off a lot of things. He had his yacht rock era in the 70s, but in the 80s, man, if you wanted a hit for a soundtrack, just get Kenny Loggins to write it, right? You got Danger Zone from Top Gun. You had Footloose, the title track from that iconic movie. Kenny Loggins, had a ton of hits, strictly in the soundtrack era. Crazy that's not. I know there's still soundtracks, and like Black Panther had a sweet soundtrack with some pretty prominent artists like Kendrick Lamar and The Weeknd and stuff like that. But it used to be like sometimes, like when you were in the world of buying records and CDs, you would want to go get that soundtrack because you knew you'd get a ton of cool tracks on one album from a whole bunch of cool artists that you were into. Just a different time. Nuanez Now tonight, ESPN Radio. If you want a place to watch the United States versus Belgium, World Cup watch party at the Missoula Paddlehead Stadium, Ogren Park, Allegiance Field. Gates are open now, so 6 p.m. when the match starts. So if you want to watch with all your Missoula neighbors, head on down. The Grizz, specifically 5 Grizz, Kaylee Ayat, Brooks Davis, Ian Finch, Tanner Huff, and Peyton Wing are all hosting by the players for the kids. It's a exclusive one-day football camp for kids, grades kindergarten through 8th grade. It's inside the Montana Athletics bubble, featuring hands-on drills, player interaction, lunch, a locker room tour, and a full day of Grizz energy. There's only a couple spots left. They wanted to close the registration by July 5th, but the demand has been high. I know there's a couple spots left. So if you want to sign up, mtpartybus.com/grizz-football-youth-camp. I've been putting it on our social medias as well. We are the official media sponsor of this camp. And because of that, we got access to all these players that are helping put this camp on, including the following young man who is from right here in the Garden City. Well, fun stuff coming up when it comes to Grizz football, including a cool camp that's being hosted by 5 different Grizz football players. That's coming your way on July 17th, Washington Grizzlies Stadium. We give you plenty of info on how to sign up with that. One of the camp, I guess you could say counselors, one of the camp coaches, Ian Finch from the Grizz, a Missoula Hellgate graduate, joining us here now. What's up, man? Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
First of all, you got to tell me about that part. Just getting a chance to give back. This is your hometown. A chance to work with the kids. I know you've done it when it comes like the University of Montana team football camps, but just hosting your own camp. Just tell me about sort of like the motivation and what you think of the opportunity to coach the kids.
Yeah, I think especially being from Missoula, I remember being one of those kids back in the day, kind of looking up towards the players that played for this program and, just getting the opportunity to be around them and learn from them, I think was something that I really want to be able to provide for kids nowadays as well. And I think this is just one of those, just another opportunity to give back to the community that has supported me my entire way.
Who was your Grizz idols growing up?
Oh, dude. I mean, I remember watching Mark Mariani when I was real young. And then funny enough, actually, my school resource officer, Burton, he was an O-lineman here.
Sexy Chuck, Big Charles Burton, for sure.
Back in the day, there's a real cool picture of me and him on the field after a game. Those are just 2 that, come right to mind. But there's a lot of them.
Well, Chuck will deny this, but I lived with a couple Grizz guys during my college days, and Charles came on his recruiting visit, and he came to a party at our house. And I always tease him, that's why you came to Montana, because that party was so fun. Well, let's talk about the offseason, what's been going on with you guys. First of all, we talked to you after the spring game. It looked like high spirits and great vibes around Grizz football. But now that you guys have been into sort of the summer part of the session, what have you guys been able to take from spring sort of into these last couple of months? How's things going just overall with Grizz football?
Yeah, I think spring was really efficient, and it had a lot of learning opportunities for maybe younger guys, and I think that that's really helped, especially with like the player run practices in terms of knowing what's asked of you and when, and just knowing the fine details about everything. And then I think the weight room side of things is always something that we strive to be great at, and I think that everyone's getting stronger and faster, and building that bond that you do over the summer.
What are the biggest differences you noticed just in the change in coaching staff?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that have stayed the same. Things that have worked in the past with Coach Houck. We're not going to change that. That's just kind of what Grizz football is and kind of the foundation of what it is. But I also think that some of the things maybe that weren't working as well, have slightly changed in terms of like we see our coaches, every day. They're at basically everything we do, and it's more of like I don't know how to say this, but it's more like like you're just talking kind of like to your friend instead of you're higher up in terms of just when we're lifting or when we're doing conditioning and whatnot. But they're still our coaches at the end of the day, and we respect them in that matter, especially at practice and things like that. But just in terms of like how we can talk to each other, say just throughout the day, I think that's one thing that Coach BK's really strive for, that he's always got an open door, and you can always just, even if it's not about football, that's just something you can do.
Ian Finch joining us here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. When it comes to BK, he was your position coach last year. So what was the experience like getting to know him, and what do you think makes him suited to be the next head coach of Grizz football?
Yeah, having him as my position coach, you kind of build your own relationship with your position coach just because you're around them so much more than you are the head coach. which was really awesome for all us receivers because we kind of know BK maybe just a little bit more on a personable level than maybe the rest of the guys. But I think he's done a great job in trying to learn everyone and, their backgrounds and their stories. But I think like one thing that really makes BK suitable for this head position is that, he's willing to do whatever to make sure this program continues to move forward in the way that it has. And I think he understands the importance of Montana just as a state and the recruiting aspect of that.
It's been fascinating to watch him sort of hit the ground running. And I think one of the most interesting things to talk about with him is all the places that he's been and all the guys that he's worked for, right? I mean, he's worked for everybody from Joe Paterno to Mac Brown to Bobby Houck. Like, what a list of guys that he's been able to learn from. David Shaw is a great coach that he worked for. Kurt Ferenz at Iowa. I mean, it's pretty wild when you break down the resumes. He's been literally every corner of the country and been at some of the best programs in the country too. So when you guys know about that breadth of experience and sort of that background, does that help you sort of gain trust in a coach just in general earlier on?
Oh, yeah, 100%. He talks about it a lot, kind of his past and the places he's been and the people he's worked for and with. And I think, right when that first press conference that he had, he talked quite a bit about how he's been to so many places and worked with so many great coaches and so many great people that he kind of knows the ins and outs of how certain people run a program this way or the other, whether it's right or wrong, but he can pick and choose the things that he saw work best for each program, and I think that's kind of what he's doing right now.
Well, certainly it's been fun to follow along with, and definitely a breath of fresh air. Offensively, what sort of progress do you guys make? Because there is a lot of continuity on that side, right? Like you mentioned it, especially on offense, this is a great opportunity for a lot of young guys to get some great reps and sort of progress their games, but also, opportunity for some older guys to maybe sharpen the sword a little bit too. So what sort of progress do you guys made just as an overall offensive unit?
Yeah, I think we've made a ton of progress, obviously, because we've had that continuity. We understand how Coach B's mind works and kind of what he's going to dial up on a given down and distance. And I think just carrying that over from not only the season, but the spring, he can kind of just plug and play with whatever he wants to do, and we'll just make it happen.
And obviously one of the big storylines of last year and obviously into this offseason, it's going to be a huge storyline next year as well, is just what the caliber of quarterback that Kale Ayada is becoming. I know you're hosting this camp with him upcoming, but I mean, what a great story it is, being that he's an old school Grizz guy, Grizz legend son. But also, I love his mentality, man. I mean, I did one of these with him yesterday, and he's just nails, man. You could just tell he's no nonsense, down to business. So working with him, watching him grow, how would you just describe that?
Yeah, watching him grow has been unbelievable. I think even just the step he took from the year prior to last year was unbelievable. I think he was the best quarterback in the country. I'm obviously biased, but I mean, I think he's put it out there. It's on the film. He knows what to do. He's a competitor, and just at the fundamental baseline, he's a winner, dude. He wants to win. He knows what it takes to win, and he gets the guys in the spots, and he makes everyone around him better.
Another one of the guys you're hosting the camp with is Brooks Davis, and what a breakout year he had last year, too. So much fun watching him because you can tell he's having a heck of a lot of fun himself. He's just a joyous guy. So what do you think allowed him to be such an impact player in your wide receivers room last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he had obviously the ability to do that. I think he just needed to be put in place to do so. And, he kind of just hit the ground running, especially after that North Dakota game. I think that gave him a lot of confidence. And then, just the guys in the room were always talking to him like, dude, you are probably one of the best, if not the best receiver in the FCS right now. And you should just go out there and act like it and play like it. And he did so. And I'm really, really excited to see what he's going to bring to the table this year.
What's kept you guys hungry and motivated throughout this offseason? What sort of things have been driving you forward when you're going through maybe the tough workouts and then the tough times?
Yeah, I think there's two obvious choices for that one. I can't speak too much about that, but it's always working harder than the guys across the state, and I'm sure they're doing the same thing, and I think that's why it makes it such a great rivalry.
Yeah, high tides raise all ships, no doubt, and it's certainly been fun to watch the way it's been able to rise up the FCS as well. Ian Finch joining us here on Nuanez Now, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. He is one of 5 Grizzlies that are hosting a kids camp coming up on July 17th at Washington Grizzly Stadium. So you told me about the motivation, but what sort of coaching do you hope to instill in these kids? That's going to be fun for you to sort of work with them. So what do you hope kids get out of this camp?
Yeah, I mean, I hope they, at first, I hope they have a bunch of fun. That's really what it is. It comes down to is, getting a day to just hang out around us and see us without the pads and the helmets on and see who we are just as people. But, we kind of just want to show them, the fundamentals of football and how they can, maybe use that in their youth leagues or this, that, and the other. But I'm really just looking forward to having a great day with that community that Missoula provides.
Well, it's going to be super fun to follow along with, and these guys think you're superheroes, and that's going to be fun to watch all the little kids just going crazy and having a great time. We'll put all the information on how to get out there. We'll have some ads going here on the radio and on SWX Montana Television. We'll put it all over our social medias as well. But anything else you want to add just about what this experience might be like, both for you and for the kids, before we get you out of here?
Yeah, I just want to say I think it's going to be a great time. I think it's great for us to build a relationship with just Grizz Nation as a whole and the little kids that look up to us, because I remember being one of those kids as well. And go Grizz.
Gotta love it. Ian Finch here. Thanks for doing it, man. Good talking to you, and we'll talk to you when the camp day rolls around, but thanks for being here.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Fun to hear from that young man, and great perspective from him, no doubt. A Missoula Hellgate graduate who's giving back to his hometown. Couple more thoughts on the World Cup on the other side. If you're not on your way, you should be to the Missoula Paddlehead Stadium to watch with all your fellow Missoulians. Belgium, United States, a bid to the World Cup quarterfinals on the line. That's next. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. Save up to $1,000 off top-rated Tempur-Pedic, or save hundreds off Purple mattresses and premium adjustable bases. Save up to 50% on top-of-the-line mattresses, all backed by their 365-day guarantee. See store for details. It's their biggest 4th of July sale ever at your locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Talk about soundtrack songs. Man, this is one of the greatest soundtrack songs ever. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Do you remember what movie that's from? You probably don't. It's been used in a lot of movies, actually, but premiered on the Scream soundtrack. Back when Scream was... It's funny, Scream, the Scream series and the Scream franchise has... I was going to say almost become a parody of itself, but it actually has literally become a parody of itself with all the scary movie spin-offs and parodies that have come out about it. But man, that Scream soundtrack was good, and that song is just great. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, underrated. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Missing the show, you can always find it on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is available on all your various podcast hosting platforms. Please rate, review, subscribe. And also thanks to our great friends at Grizzly Disposal. We are coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage. Team USA takes on Belgium here in about 7 minutes. If you need a place to watch the match, head on down to Ogren Park. The Missoula Paddleheads hosting a watch party. It's a free community event, and the action gets started at 6 p.m. This is the round of 16. The United States has been to the round of 16 6 times since 1994. So that means they've only missed it twice. One of those years was the year that they literally did not qualify for the World Cup. That was rock bottom, certainly, for Team USA. That was in 2018. So over the last 8 years, they've certainly improved vastly. Belgium is a perennial, I'm not going to say like true contender, but a perennial power. But the Belgium team is a lot older than it has been in recent years, and the United States is young, hungry. They got some of the best players in the world, including Balogun, who got reinstated, the excellent striker for the United States. A controversial red card that led to an even more controversial suspension, which led to an even more controversial overturning of a suspension. Belgium then appealed it, and FIFA said, sorry, but not sorry. Balogun's playing. So one of the premier strikers for the United States back in the fold. This is a pivotal moment for United States soccer. Truly, in the history of soccer in this country, the United States have only been to the round of 8 in the World Cup one time. That in itself would be an accomplishment. 2002, by the way, the last time the United States went that far. But the fact that this is in America, this game is being played in Seattle, this is an enormous moment for soccer in the United States. I think that there is a bunch of reasons why the fever is running thick. Part of it's because the World Cup in America. Part of it's because there are so many contenders on a national and international level. But I also think that for all the perils of social media and TikTok and Instagram and Reels and YouTube, it has spread the investment in the beautiful game as much as any sport. I have nephews that are 9 and 6. I also saw one of my good friends, and her son is 7. I saw her over the weekend. And all these kids know so much about soccer. And I was asking them, I was like, how do you know about this? And they said, I don't know, just from the internet. But like if you get on the soccer algorithm on your YouTube, it'll play you highlights of these guys, and you can quickly see, oh, man, Kylian Mbappe, that guy's awesome. Or this guy. You can learn all about these international teams. The thing that's always been such a struggle for for Americans to follow is that the best players from America play professionally overseas. All the best players in the world play professionally overseas. If you want to watch the top level of soccer during the professional season, and you live in America, you have to wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like that's when the games are on if you want to watch it live. Who wants to record a game and then follow it later? I don't know. But the YouTube has then made it so that you can follow it from like a highlight basis. And I think that has helped spread it, and it's spreading it to the younger people. And I also just think that this event being in America has accelerated the fervor for soccer within America among Americans to a new level. And that's pretty cool. So hopefully you have a fun place to watch the game. We will go through all of it tomorrow. We'll also talk some NBA tomorrow. We'll keep on our Grizz interview series as well. And wherever else we can fill in the blanks. Appreciate you for hanging out. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio.